Hi, it's employer/employees palaver and relationship part 17 on salary wahala, still with charity. It will interest you to know, as an employer of labor, your employees' salaries is not an act of kindness from you to them. It's an obligation that is morally, legally, and spiritually bound for you to do as an employer. To pay staff salaries, it's a must. It's not a thing of choice. It is a must. It's not a thing of choice. But it has left me only but to wonder why some employers usually would come up with a titles, a format, just to hold back employees' salaries at the end of the month. Some employers would hold back employees' salaries and would never pay it again. While some drive joy in paying late salaries, some would prefer their employees to be perpetual on IOU, collecting their money in bits, thereby making the salary useless for that month. Because such money, those money you took in bit, you cannot even account for what you've used it on. Some employers and their management would be like, oh, this month your performance was poor, and for that reason, we won't pay you for the month. Someone that had spent his or her time to come to work, spent his or her money the previous month you paid on transport just to come to work, took risk and applied highway just to be at work, put his or her strength in work and was stressed out. Not as if he did not work for that month. They worked, and then just for the effort to come to light and mature, and then puts his or her hope, his or her problems on that salary, that money for that month. Haven't done all of this and hoped to be paid, and then you came up with your performance was poor and you won't be paid. We won't pay you for this month. Where is your conscience? I know some of you employers and their management would be like, hey, I had experienced it before. I don't experience some before during my days. Hey, listen, let me talk to you. We had some unpleasant and painful experiences so as to know how painful it was. And don't inflict it on others. That is how it ought to be. And that is how it is. And not I had experienced it and so another would have to. That is sheer wickedness, my dear. Some employers would even go to the extent to keep records and count days employees came late to work in a month, and then remove it from their salary and would claim it to be discipline. Disciplining someone you've not took time to know why the person comes late to work. I want to know, what of those days and time in a month employees work overtime? Do you give them extra pay for that? I guess no. But you know how to deduct money from the salaries for coming late. Let's be fair to ourselves. Everything is not about work and money. There's more to this life than the above mentioned. Some employers would even go to the extent to seize employees' salaries as punishment for a mistake or an accusation. How did we get here that we no longer have feelings for fellow human beings? I know some employers do all of this to make employees economically handicapped so as to always be answerable to them. Even without doing all of this, person will go respect you, go respect you. Person will not go respect you, no go respect you. Take a look at the monthly budget of that lowest paid employee in an organization. You would find out that their budget is higher than their salary. That is because things are hard. So you don't even have to delay on the pay or seize employees' salary for any reason. Because if you do, you'll be doing yourself and your company negatively. You would end up training a dog that would bite you. You see, when you underpay, seize, delay, and deduct employees' salaries, you would leave them with no choice but to steal, to always steal. I mean, steal from you and your company. Some employees ordinarily would not touch a pin that is not theirs, but your attitude towards them has placed them in that position whereby they've got no choice but to steal from you and your company. Stealing company's cash, items, customers, your customers. Listen, I am not saying that preferring company's cash, items, customers by employees are justifiable. But in as much as the above mentioned are not justifiable, likewise is holding back employees' salaries. Playing with someone's rights at the end of the month by employers is not in any way justifiable. 99.5% of employees shoulders a lot of responsibilities. Some are breadwinners of the family. Some have aged parents and siblings to take care of, and many other problems. All of these awaits that salary you've seized, that salary you've delayed, dear employer. All of these awaits it. All of these awaits that salary you've deducted as an employer. Not as if the last month's salary solved all of our problems as employees, but we still managed to manage. Patiently and hopefully waited for next month's salary, and our dear employers decided to seize, delay, and deduct from that same salary that could not even shoulder all the shouldered responsibilities we bear as employees. I want you to know as an employer of labor that every yawn of hunger that came from those shouldered responsibilities that was not quenched because of the seized salaries, every tears of pains that dropped from the eyes of those responsibilities that was not wiped because of the seized, delayed, and deducted salaries done by you, the employer, speaks against you and your company and bore holes, create holes in your financial bags. That is why you would see some companies, some organization that celebrated 40 years, 50 years, 20, 30, 15, 10 years anniversary. And they've got nothing to show for it. No financial stability. Every day same story. Every year same story. Going up and coming down. Up and down. That is because you've got voices that spoke against you and are still speaking against you. You've got tears that have dropped and are still dropping against you. You've got hands that wrote a report against you to the universe and are still writing reports against you and your company. So I urge you, dear employers, to shut those mouths, wipe those tears, counter those reports by paying those employees' salaries you've held back and never paid. I urge you to restitute, and your life and that of your company would never remain the same. I know we still have employers that are wonderful people. Employers that would never joke with their employees' salaries no matter what. Employers that would never joke with their employees. And that is why you would see such employers and their companies flourishing. If you're such employer, I am here to tell you today that sky is your starting point. Failure and evil will never know where you're dwelling. You and your generation, born and unborn, must do exploit, for you've not caused any of your subordinate tears and pains. For that reason, it to be extended to your generations, born and unborn. You and your generations, born and unborn, will never know pains, will never know tears. And so shall it be, now and forever. Amen. Stay tuned for my next topic and see you in my next video. Love you. Let love lead. Love is the greatest. Bye for now.